Good evening and welcome to the September 18th regular evening meeting of Township of Langley Council. Regrets from Mayor Froese, who's down in Denver attending a very extensive workshop on planning along with some staff, and Councilor Whitmarsh is in China with a group of athletes. So I'll be running the meeting this evening and I welcome you to it. And first we'll ask Council to adopt and receive the agenda items. Moved by Councilor Sparrow, second by Councilor Arneson. Any discussion? Show of hands, all in favor. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. And the minutes we'll adopt of the September 11th regular evening council meeting. Moved by Sparrow, second by Davis. Any discussion, errors, or omissions? Hearing none. All in favor. Opposed? Carried. And then the next is the adoption of the minutes from the special public hearing that was held on September the 12th. I'm going to ask for a motion to receive and to refer that to October 23rd, which is the night that has been scheduled to consider third reading. Moved by Councilor Davis, second by Sparrow. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Item C is presentations, of which we have none, and delegations or reports to council. So we're already into bylaws for first and second reading. F1, land use contract discharge application number 100485. Can we have a motion, please? Moved by Councilor Sparrow, second by Councilor Qualley. Discussion. Mr. Backen, is there anything we need to know about this?
Your Worship, as has been the practice, we have a situation where there's a historical land use contract that's being replaced by a rezoning. The rezoning will advance this to the purported use, and we do have a couple of questions from council members.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Arneson is up first.
Oh, yes, thank you. I have a question through the chair then to staff. So when I was reading through the report, I noticed there's some slight differences between what the criteria are for planning currently and what could be achieved on the property. So I'm just wondering, is there any possible provision that we have after the public hearing so we could do such a thing as making a condition for the lot coverage not to exceed a certain percent? Thank you.
Through your worship to Councillor Arneson, it's a land use contract discharge and the underlying zoning would prevail. So it's just a straight discharge of land use contract. So the same powers of rezoning provisions do not pertain to this application.
Okay, so once this goes through the process, though, my opportunity would be later on, because there's setback changes also, I believe, that would be in play?
Through your worship to Councillor Arneson, yes. As outlined on page 6 of Council's report, there's some minor setback changes, lot coverage changes, and height changes between the current land use contract that governs the site and the underlying R1B zone.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Fox. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, it is Councillor Fox and then Richter.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
This is one of the most unique things I've seen in a long time. I don't think I've ever seen a middle of a residential area where we discharge a land use contract. I guess my first question is, how many other situations exist like this where we have land use contracts that could potentially result in a discharge?
Well, I understand they all have to be discharged by 2024, but Mr. Richardson?
Through your worship to Councillor Fox, staff, in terms of the best research as of today, there's currently 56 active land use contracts in the township pertaining to approximately 1,900 properties, including strata properties. As Acting Mayor Long outlined, by 2024, there's provincial legislation mandating that those land use contracts will disappear. It also mandates the local governments have appropriate zoning in place by 2022. The township's past practice, though, and as you see currently in the subject application, is that council in its wisdom in 1987 with the consolidated zoning bylaw adopted zones for what we think is the vast majority, if not all, of these situations. So as in the current instance, when we're discharging the land use contract currently, the underlying zone, the R1B zone, will just rise and be governing the site. In terms of the exact number of single-family houses that those 1,900 properties pertain to, I don't have that exact number, although I know that this subject land use contract pertained to 56 single-family lots that you see east and west of the current site.
Very interesting, because I was a principal of the school up the road when this thing was built. I didn't realize that there was land use contracts under provision there in that time frame. That was the early 90s. Anyway, okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Councillor Fox. Councillor Richter?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I mean, this is a very established neighborhood. It's been there for quite a while. And they're going to put a replacement house in. Will that replacement house fit in with the rest of the neighborhood? And I think this partly goes to the question that Councillor Arneson raised earlier with regards to the lot coverage.
Through your worship to Councillor Richter. In terms of the zoning that was, the land use contract that governs now, there's a 0.1 of a meter front yard setback difference, a rear yard setback of 0.1 of a meter. There is a maximum lot coverage potential increase to 35% over 30%. However, that requires the second story of the building to be set back 80% of the first story. I also note that directly to the south of the application, indicated by, is the cursor working here? This neighborhood here directly to the south is already zoned R1B. So the south half of the street already enjoys the zoning that the current applicant is wishing to attain.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else? We'll call the question then. Just a moment, I got to figure out how to do that. And this is going to be, my apologies, F1. And it passes unanimously. Well, except there's two not here, but that's fine. So now we'll move on to F2, which is a rezoning application number 100472 and development permit application 100582, Yorkson Medical Limited, bylaw 5312. We have a motion, please? Councillor Qualley and Councillor Sparrow. And discussion. Councillor Arneson?
Yes, thank you very much. I did have just a couple of comments. I was very pleased in this report to see that one of the provisions is going to be some type of green roof that's going to be installed on this building, which I think is very progressive and is a good direction for this area in particular. So I'm happy to hear that, as well as they're going to have a green wall. I did also note that there is quite an expanse of windows there, and I'm wondering whether or not it might be possible to have some discussion with the proponent to have those windows be to the highest thermal standards. That's just because of our increasing and evolving conversations around heating and energy conservation, and in the knowledge that the more the less thermal escape there can be, the more energy efficient the building would be. And so that's just a comment to see whether or not there could be some traction there. And my other question, I guess, through the chair to staff is there parking that will be allowed on 206? Is there street parking that would be available there?
Okay, Mr. Richardson would answer that.
Through your worship to Councillor Arneson. As outlined here on the site plan, the configuration of the building, the extent of the southerly property line and the entrance routing here, as well as the development prerequisites and provision of a traffic signal here will probably preclude the provision of parking on 206 Street in this section, but certainly further south of the site on 206 Street will be allowed. But given the requirement most likely for a left-hand turn bay for the required traffic signal and the proximity of the driveway to the intersection, most likely will not be the availability of on-street parking at this location, but certainly further south on 206 Street.
Okay, well, it occurs to me that the nature of the building might be a place that's a bit overprescribed, because currently what we have is just the minimum parking, although it is above and underground. But so that's why I'm asking about parking on 206, whether or not that would be a bit of a overflow parking situation. Okay, thank you very much.
And anybody else wish to speak? No? Then we'll call the vote as soon as I push the button here. And this is F2. Okay. And that carries with all the green ticks as well. All right, that moves us on to, we're almost done. That's it. Mayor's report. The acting mayor's report. All right, so. Yeah, right. It's been a busy week, and so we have to report on some of the local events that happened throughout the township. On Saturday, September the 16th, was the BC Thanksgiving Food Drive and Barbecue put on by volunteers, including Scott Friesen and the Langley community, all chipped in. Sponsors included Save on Foods, Best Buy, and our local Langley Rotary Clubs are all on hand to assist. And Councillor Qualley, you attended the event. Saturday was also the annual Township of Langley Golf Tournament. And here you can see a picture of somebody on his knees, but this is all for a good cause because it's to raise money for kids' sport. The weather was great. It was an excellent turnout. Monies raised, as I mentioned, goes to Kids Sport, which is an organization that addresses the challenges faced by many families when registering their children in an organized sport. From a modest start in its first year, issuing $35,000 in grants, Kids Sports has now grown exponentially across the country and has become a truly national entity with 11 provincial territorial chapters and over 180 community-based chapters. So we're very proud of that. The total amount going to Kids Sports from this township fun event is $3,597.39. And there's the winning team down below. I'm sure they cheated. Thanks to Harry and all the staff that volunteered many, many hours for this event, as well as the sponsors who provided prizes and everything else. So that's great. There was also on Saturday evening was the season opener for the Langley Rivermen hockey team. And there's Councillor Qualley dropping the puck at the George Preston Recreation Centre. And was that when the alarm went off and everybody had to leave?
No, the alarm went off in the afternoon. This was the evening.
Yeah, they were just testing the system there. So thanks for that, Councillor Qualley, for being there. And then the 39th Annual Country Celebration held at Campbell Valley Regional Park over the weekend, one of the biggest fairs in Metro Vancouver. We're happy to host. Well, it was on Facebook, yeah. Did you get to keep the little piece you cut off? Yeah. Okay. All right, and so, of course, the celebration brought out many, many people. It celebrates the old-fashioned country charm that we enjoy here, as well as spotlighting nature, heritage, agriculture, and, of course, our great community. Sunday, the 17th of September, was the annual Terry Fox Run to help raise money to fight cancer, and there were a number of runs throughout the township, at least two, one in Walnut Grove and one in Alder Grove, and it's a great event, and super to see people turning out year after year. So coming up, in upcoming events, here we go, on September the 20th, there's the farm tour, Farming Outside the Box, which is an economic forum on the road. So the many councils will be there and others from the public. And September 24th is BC Rivers Day, and that's going to be held this year at the Derrick Doubleday Arboretum. So please all come out and attend that. And that concludes that. Is there anything else that council would like to report on? You have your hand up? Yes. Okay, there it goes.
Thanks. The photos at the beginning of the mayor's report, the first three photos from the food drive were photos that I took on the weekend. They hosted, it was a provincial-wide initiative, and there was community leaders in each community. And a gentleman from here in Langley named Scott Friesen was our coordinator for Langley. And they dropped off literally hundreds and hundreds of these bag tags on the left at people's homes and asked them to fill a bag of non-perishables and leave it at the door. And then all of the service clubs in the municipality went literally door to door and collected all of these bags. So when I arrived on Saturday at the Church of Latter-day Saints, they had this whole sort of drive-through drop-off system set up that was super efficient. Anyhow, I heard back from Scott this morning. They had collected just in Langley 32,000 pounds of food. That's a lot of food, triple what they raised last year. And so all of this goes to our local food bank, obviously just in time for Thanksgiving. But 32,000 pounds of food is very significant for a community our size. So I wanted to acknowledge Scott for his effort and all of the service clubs in the community who participated. And there was hundreds of volunteers involved in this, and it was very successful. So I just want to make sure they got a little bit of recognition for their hard work.
Excellent. Okay.
And then the Langley Rivermen, their home opener on Saturday night was really well attended. I think it was a sellout at George Preston. And unfortunately, our Rivermen lost in double overtime 5-4 to the Chilliwack Chiefs. But if you haven't had a chance to get out to a Riverman game, since George Preston's been renovated, it's a really great facility, and it's such a great environment for them. So I'd encourage everybody to get out, and it's a super affordable way to spend an evening with your family and kids, and there's lots going on. So anyhow, the Riverman season's just starting. So go check out a game.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else care to say anything? No? Then we'll move on to other business. Any other business? Councillor Arneson, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to read my notice of motion. Whereas the Township of Langley bylaws and policies provide protocols and direction to formalize and enhance council activities as regulated under the Local Government Act, and whereas public hearings are guided by a preamble included under the Council Procedures Bylaw, which outlines the parameters and restrictions governing the exchange of information from the community to Council, which exchange is necessary in order to provide community input into Council decision-making at public hearings, and whereas the current verbiage of the preamble restricts the exchange to clarify particular points in submissions, which effectively limits opportunities to receive further information, which may unreasonably limit the opportunity for the provision of all relevant information. Therefore, be it resolved that the Township's public hearing preamble be changed to read, Council members should not express their views nor debate the bylaws, but shall limit themselves to seeking clarification and additional information directly related to the matter at hand.
Okay, thank you. That's a notice of motion. Any other business from council? So moved by Councillor Davis and seconded by somebody over this, Councillor Fox. Well, thank you very much. That was almost a record time. It didn't give me anything controversial. Thanks for coming. We'll see you again.